Robert Robertson.
Hello.
I'm really pleased that you accepted my invitation to make this interview.
I'm glad to have accepted it, yeah.
Robert used to be my English teacher 7 years ago. At the time where I didn't speak many languages. Actually, I thought I don't have language talent.
Okay.
By the moment of going to your classes, when something changed.
Okay.
Because now I love languages and I'm a teacher as well.
Okay.
So in this short video I would like to talk with you about the power of good teaching. I mean the role of a teacher and what a good teacher should be like.
What a good teacher should be like.
Yeah, you have lots of experience in teaching and you love teaching.
Yeah.
So I think you are a very good person to answer this question.
So I think like a good teacher should be sort of like a guide, taking the students to the best possible place. And a teacher needs to know one thing that's very important for a teacher and is actually quite not accepted in the teaching community is for a teacher to accept failure. Failure is so important to learning, and teachers have a tendency of making students feel bad about their failures, and making a mistake and accepting the correction is the most important thing. Why is it that when children first start school, and the teacher asks a question, you see them going, oh, me, please, please, me. And he says, and by the time they're 15, 16, and the teacher says, oh, where is Nairobi? And everybody says,
there is no more curiosity, no more...
There's this. There's this, like,
you're hiding.
Please don't ask me.
Yeah, it's a pity.
And
I really like this approach of allowing the students make mistakes, and I really love the quote of Ken Robinson, who said once, if you are not prepared to be wrong, you will never come across with anything original.
Yeah.
So you have to allow yourself to make mistakes and to be ready to be wrong and feel okay with it, because it's a part of the process.
Yeah.
I mean, you cannot learn anything without making mistakes.
And I mean, it's not only in Poland, but I noticed that when I was teaching in public school, that a lot of the kids in the beginning of when I first started teaching them, there's sort of this desperation to be constantly right. And you can see on their faces that if they make a mistake, they feel terribly bad.
Yeah, there's so much pressure.
Yeah. And I would ask them, what is your problem? And he says, oh, I didn't. And I said, if you knew everything, and I always tell students, if you knew everything, I wouldn't have a job. And I need my job, so please don't know everything. And I think teachers, to be good teachers, need to wake up and realize this. I think a lot of teachers, I mean, sometimes I'm sort of disappointed with colleagues who, because when you're teaching in a school, you always have a colleague who comes into the teacher's room and sort of says, oh, my test was so difficult that no one could pass it. Well,
what's the point?
Yeah, what's the point? And my first reaction is, well, if no one can pass it, then you didn't do your job, and you're being paid to do your job. And so, and when you think of the job of being a teacher, I tell all teachers that what you have is a garden. And you are watering.
A beautiful metaphor. I love the metaphor. Go on.
You are watering and feeding the plants that are going to make the world beautiful tomorrow. And I said, and you can either water and feed them and take care of them, or you can trample them and destroy them. And I said, and the results will be there tomorrow. And when you criticize a student so badly for making a mistake, and you make him feel stupid for making that mistake, you are not teaching, you are destroying. And this should not be done.
So it's like being a gardener, providing the best conditions for the students to grow and to learn. Yeah. And to encourage them to keep learning.
I would say it's more like being a parent. Parents, you see parents teaching every day, and you see children learning from their parents. I mean, if in Polish, a little boy who's 5 or 6 years old says, "Nie ma brat," the mother's going to say, "Nie ma brata," and she does it with such love that one day the kid is going to say, "Nie ma brata," and so but if the same incident happens in class and the little boy says, "Nie ma brat," the teacher goes, "Oh, God, how stupid can you be?" You know, and this type of this is the little boy is going to go, "Oh my God, I shouldn't have said anything."
Absolutely.
And so really teachers have to approach teaching. You have to think of, and a lot of times I do think of almost each individual student as being my own kid. And I would never treat my own kid the way that most teachers treat kids in school. I've taught in a few countries, and I know all of us universally around the world have an experience with a teacher whose class we did not want to go to.
Yeah.
And if you are a teacher and you have kids saying, "I don't want to go to that class," then you need to do some self-examination. And so that's the most important thing in teaching, letting people make their mistakes, particularly with language teaching. Children, when they everybody says that adults don't learn language as fast as children. They do. But adults have two problems when it comes to language. Once once they've seen something, they expect to be able to use it actively. And when they can't use it, they beat themselves, saying, "I'm stupid. I learned that last week and I can't do it this week." Well, if you examine your own experience,
like an inner critic in their heads.
Yeah, we all criticize ourselves, saying, "Oh God, I just saw that." But if you examine the way you learned your own language, there are 5 years where you spend making some solid mistakes, and your parents,
Thousands of them.
yeah, thousands of them, and your parents just keep correcting you. The other thing is that children,
without thinking that it is wrong.
yeah, because
It's not wrong.
Oh, mom corrected me.
Part
She
of
does
the
that every
process.
day.
It's a part of
It's
the
a part of the
process.
process.
And it's necessary.
Yeah, and for language teaching, and I would say for all teaching, mathematics, whatever, it's part of the process. And this is why I don't like grades. I have a very tough time giving grades. Because grades have been, I'm not saying that it is bad to have a grading system, but grades have been used not to make people aware of their problems, which they should be used for, but it's been a type of punishment.
Yeah.
And
And people focus too much on, I don't know, achievements and all these numbers
yeah,
instead of enjoying the process.
yeah. And I would like to throw grades out the window because they've been used so detrimentally to punish people.
That's why I think nowadays it's so important. We need good teachers nowadays. Teachers who care about potential of children, of students, and can let them grow and let's see what passions do they have, what talents they have, and encourage them to really get into it and to grow and to keep learning.
Yeah.
And with time, I think the role of a teacher in the end is to get rid of your students and make them independent learners.
Yeah.
Or even teachers.
Yeah.
You know, today, seven years later, after being in your class, I love teaching today. And I'm able to do that. I think this is a beautiful, perfect example of what we are talking about.
But I have to say, I've spent 22 years teaching. No, 25 years teaching. And I have...
Having lots of fun, by the way.
I have loved every minute of it. And every time I teach in a school, I'm sure if I taught in a school, there's never a day that I don't want to wake up and go see my kids. There's never a day, there is never a minute that I don't want to spend time with them in class doing something. If it's playing a game, if it's doing a piece of theater, if it's doing, I want to see them growing and learning.